What is up, DW Nation? Hope y'all doing well. This is Asante Grundy from the Disciples of Wrestling coming to you guys with another Raw recap. We had a tag team championship that occurred last night, and also the new champion, Bobby Lashley. He first time wrestling as a champion, so I'll tell you how he does, and a lot of stuff that happened last night. So let's get to it. So starting off, we have the Hurt Business coming out backstage. And we have Bobby in an interview as the new champion, and he was just basically saying, I've waited 16 years for this opportunity. Now the almighty era has begun, and I'm so happy for Bobby Lashley. It's well deserved, and you can tell how bad he wanted it from last week and just how bad he's been wanting to win the WWE Championship that he's been vying for a long time. So yeah, just big shout out to Bobby. And yeah, he was just talking about how the almighty era has begun. So we'll see how long Bobby's title reign will last. So next we have The Miz, and he's in the middle of the ring with Morrison, and he was just saying, like, I expected to lose to Bobby, but I did not expect to lose my title last week on Raw. But let's be real, Miz knew he was losing his title last week when there was a championship match last week. He knew that. He needed to stop playing. But anyways, he also said I outsmarted everyone in the locker room, and WWE, y'all should believe me. And because he had stomach cramps last week trying to avoid the match, and he's like, WWE, y'all should believe me for everything I've done for this company, but y'all didn't believe me when I said I had stomach cramps. And let's be real, Miz, stop capping, bruh, because you ain't have no stomach cramps. But at the same time, I don't blame you, bruh, for trying to avoid Bobby Lashley. So we have our first match of the night. It is the rematch for the WWE Championship. We have The Miz versus Bobby Lashley. And The Miz put up a better effort this week than he did last week, but I mean, it wasn't enough against Bobby. As expected, Bobby Lashley is one. He does his famous Hurt Lock on The Miz, and he gets the W and retains his belt. And this will be the start of many title defenses, I believe, for Bobby. And The Miz wanted his rematch, and he got it. He did put up a better effort, but he really didn't get that much offense in, so good job, though, Bobby. So next, we have a segment with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre was just watching the Bobby Lashley The Miz championship match. And Drew McIntyre says, I'm the only challenger, pretty much. The Miz, you only beat The Miz, Bobby. I've beaten 5 champions. Like, Drew was just going over his resume. Like, he's saying he beat 5 champions, talking about the Elimination Chamber, and he beat Brock Lesnar. Like, what have you done, Bobby? And, yeah, Drew is pleading his case for, he has his eyes set back on the WWE Championship once again. But then he still has a score to settle with Sheamus because Sheamus attacks him. And yeah, he's still not done with Sheamus. So they put on a great match though later on. So I will definitely tell you about that. But Drew still has his eyes on the gold. So he has to get past Sheamus first if he wants to get back in that title hunt. Okay, so this next segment, I'm going to tell you, it was not good. But I'm going to just break it down for y'all. Braun Strowman, he's out in the middle of the ring. He calls out Shane McMahon, and he wants an apology from him. So, long story short, Shane McMahon comes out. He says, I'm sorry, and then he walks out. Like, I mean, this segment really wasn't... This was one of the lowest moments on the show, and definitely one of the lowest segments I've seen in a very long time. This just did not excite me, and I was very perplexed throughout this whole thing. But there's more to this later on, sadly. But yeah, that I do not like this. So we have our next match. It is a no DQ match between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Now, when Sheamus attacked Drew earlier, McIntyre ran into WWE official Adam Pearce and says, "I want a match with Sheamus as soon as possible to get back at Sheamus." So Adam Pearce made it official. Now we get Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus in a no DQ match, and this match was a banger. Like, I really enjoyed this match. They both did their finishers on each other, and they picked up where they left off from last week. Sadly, the match was called because of injury. It looks like Sheamus got pretty banged up, and Drew wasn't feeling so hot after the match, but I believe Sheamus got more banged up than Drew. They both had the steel stairs and like collided in each other, and I guess Sheamus's head hit from the impact, hit the steel steps, and yeah, he was out for quite a bit. So hopefully a report or something will be out soon about Sheamus. I haven't heard anything yet, but that match was a banger though. So next we have an interview with AJ Styles, and he was just making fun of Randy, just taking jabs at him because of everything The Fiend and Alexa Bliss has done to Randy. And then Randy Orton appears and he's like, "I'll show you who's weak." And they go at it later on in the show. That is actually AJ Styles versus Randy Orton in the main event that occurred later on in the night. But yeah, they were going at it during the interview a little bit, taking jabs at each other. So yeah, AJ, I would not mess with Randy Orton right now, especially everything he's going through with The Fiend and Alexa. Like, I would stay away from Randy right now. So next we have The New Day versus Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. And Shelton beat the brakes off Xavier Woods. Like, he was giving this man the business, but at the end, Kofi was talking to Shelton, which caused Shelton to be a little distracted. But then Xavier, he gets the win for the New Day by roll-up. And keep in mind, Xavier, he's beaten up badly by Shelton. He got the brakes beaten off of him. But he was able to overcome and get the win. And I guess that little tactic by Kofi worked because it definitely got the win for the New Day. But Shelton should just went for the pin instead of talking to Kofi. It obviously backfired on him, but better luck next time. So next we have Matt Riddle versus Slapjack of Retribution. And yeah, this was a pretty good match actually. Slapjack actually put up a pretty good effort, but it wasn't enough. And Retribution pretty much takes another loss by the hands of Matt Riddle. And Matt Riddle delivers a bro Derek to beat Slapjack. And yeah, another loss for Retribution. I'm not surprised now. And then Mustafa, he just goes off on Slapjack. I mean, which I do not blame him because he did a little pep talk last week and I guess it didn't work for Slapjack. But yeah, I do not blame Mustafa Ali for snapping on Slapjack. Poor Retribution. But great job by Matt Riddle. So next we have Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman Part 2. And yeah, this was bad. This was very bad. Like, Just not a fan of this. Shane McMahon comes back out and he calls Braun stupid, and Braun retaliates and chases him down backstage. And we see the camera angle has it on a SUV leaving, thinking that it is Shane McMahon leaving in the SUV. But Shane McMahon appears when the camera angle changes, and I have no idea what all that's about. But yeah, we see Braun just he was hunting down Shane, and yeah, this was bad. I was just very perplexed seeing this all. They need to Raw has some splaining to do. They really do. So next we have a tag team championship by the women. It is Naomi and Lana versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. With Reginald, Nia Jax has hired Reginald, who just got fired by Carmella on Friday Night SmackDown. And now he's with Nia Jax. So, yeah, he's the new assistant. But this was a pretty good match. Lana and Naomi, they put up a better effort. They're developing that chemistry and starting to get better. But it just wasn't enough to overcome Shayna and Nia. Pretty much Reginald tried to interfere in the match, but it wound up costing Naomi and Lana the loss. And yeah, Nia Jax and Shayna retain, and they're looking very strong. But I can see Lana and Naomi, they're coming because they're starting to get that chemistry down pat. So we'll see how far they can go. So lastly, we have our main event of the night. We have AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. And this was a banger of a match. It was really good. Between two of the top talents on WWE, they're pretty much two of the best on WWE, and they went at it. They had very good match, but Alexa Bliss once again distracts Randy Orton as Randy was about to put AJ Styles away, and the distraction works, and AJ Styles was able to deliver a phenomenal forearm to Randy Orton, and AJ Styles gets the win. And after the end of the match, we just see Randy just staring down Alexa, and he's pissed at her. I mean, I can't say I don't blame him. I'd be pissed too, because she added again with those antics. But great job by Alexa Bliss. She's been amazing throughout all this. But poor Randy Orton, he can't catch a break. And that pretty much sums up this Raw recap that occurred last night. That Braun Strowman, Shane McMahon segment, again, that was trash. But big shout out to Bobby Lashley. Like, the dominance starts now. So I hope he has a long title reign, and it was well deserved, like I kept saying. But yeah, we'll see what happens next week though. But I'm Asante Grundy from the Disciples of Wrestling, signing off. You guys have a good week. Love you guys, and take care.